my sister told me, she goes, yeah, you were climbing into the bed and the anesthesiologist walked in and the nurse looked at them and went, nope. Hey guys. Okay, so I'm gonna basically jump right into this because I tend to ramble and that's exactly what I don't want to do. So I filmed this video about almost 6 months ago, and it's a meet my daughter type of video. And after looking back at the footage, you can tell that I am new in front of the camera, which is totally fine, but there's just so much rambling about stuff that isn't really important to the story. So I'm kind of gonna just film this part and explain some things, and then it's going to jump into the video that I filmed 6 months ago. So that's why it's gonna look so different, obviously. So yeah, so basically, as you can tell by the title of this video, I'm doing a story time about my unplanned natural birth, and then a meet my newborn daughter, who is no longer a newborn, but at the time, obviously she was. So you're going to, like I said, jump back into that video. It's gonna pick up kind of on that night of my birth, and then you'll meet her via that video. So the due date was November 2nd, and that day had basically come and gone. I was only experiencing mild contractions, and they weren't following that rule of thumb where they were 5 minutes apart, you know, less than 5 minutes apart, lasting for longer than 5 minutes every minute. So I could tell I just wasn't going into labor anytime that day. And so we spent that day kind of just walking around. We went to the Erie Canal because I'm from New York, and then we spent some time at the mall, and I spent it with my sister, her boyfriend, and the father of my baby. And again, just mild contractions. Sometimes I had to take a break because I was 40 weeks pregnant. So it was a lot, but I was trying to get the baby out. So fast forward to that night, and the father was sleeping, but I was up. It was about 12 o'clock at night, so midnight. So actually November 3rd, so I basically missed my due date. So he was sleeping, but I was up experiencing much more horrible contractions. And I was also starting to experience some fluid leakage, which at the time I didn't fully understand that was my water breaking, because I believed that if your water broke, it was more liquid. And I was also getting up and going to the bathroom so often that I didn't realize I wasn't technically peeing, I was losing water. So while also losing water, I had noticed that I was bleeding as well, which is a sign that you're in labor. So I ended up waking him up, and I was like, yep, we need to go, like, let's go to the hospital, this is it. So we went to the hospital, and I was basically not talking at this point because I was experiencing so much pain. This is without a doubt the most pain I've ever felt in my whole entire life. I'm not gonna lie about it. 100% worth it, but holy crap, worst pain of my life. I was in his car, just convulsing, just squeezing in pain. And he was really sweet. He was just like, it's okay, like, we're gonna get there, like, you're doing so great, you know, all that. Really sweet, really great. So I waited a long period of time from 12. We didn't go until about 1 a.m. and we got to the hospital, which the hospital wasn't very far from my house, so that's why I wasn't too concerned. But I had tested positive for strep B during pregnancy, and that's very common, but when that happens, you need to go to the hospital as soon as your water breaks, just so they can monitor the baby and, you know, make sure she's okay. And so I definitely waited a little too long, but everything was okay. And so we got there, and I got really lucky, and I had the most amazing team of nurses. My midwife, I believe her name was Ashley, she was fantastic. I can't even, everybody, He, me, my mom, my sister, all of us, we all thought that she was amazing. I was so lucky to have her, especially since I thought I wasn't doing very well with the pain. And so the first thing that I wanted the epidural, obviously. I had no plan of doing a natural birth, to be completely honest. I did want an epidural. I think that's totally fine. You know, everyone has their preferences, and mine was the epidural. I did some research on it, and that seemed what I wanted. And after experiencing the pain, I was very adamant about, when can I get my epidural? Let me have my epidural. So she began with an IV of pain medicine instead of beginning with an epidural, which I believe is very common. And she told me the medicine would make me very sleepy, and it definitely did. But the medicine also was very strong, and I'm not very used to a lot of medicines, and to be fully honest, I haven't experienced very many things. So when I took this medicine, it actually basically made me trip, which I believe I'm going to talk about later in the video. So I'm basically tripping, which is a very weird experience, especially when you're pregnant. So I think that's kind of what I needed to say in order to make the next part of the video make sense. So we're gonna hop into the next part of the video, which is the part that I filmed 6 months ago. Again, I'm very new in front of the camera, and this part of the video is probably a little more rough, a lot more cuts. Hopefully I did a little better in this part of the video. You guys like it, so let's hop into that video. She gives me this IV and I'm dazed, like, even before this IV kicked in, because, like, I didn't listen to what she was giving me. I didn't, you know, like, I was, like, kind of in my own little world. And, like, as far as I know, that's pretty common. I've heard other women say that they don't remember parts. And it's funny because there's definitely, yeah, like, at some parts I don't remember either, which I'll get into. They bring an ultrasound machine in to give me an ultrasound, and so they're checking me, and they're like, she's breached and she's low fluid, which is not good. They were like, we need to do what we can do to try to get this baby to turn, like, and we got to do it fast because you have basically no fluid. Like, this isn't good. And so, mind you, she checked my dilation, and I was about 3, probably 10 minutes ago. So, panic. But I'm not panicking because I'm tripping. Not sure what's going on. Kind of relying on the father of the baby to understand what's going on. So, he is, and they're telling him that I need to, like, kind of lay in a certain position in hopes that the baby will move herself. So he was kind of putting me in this position, and it was this position on the bed, and I had to be facing the bed, leaning kind of over it. So belly to the bed, leaning over the bed, the top of the bed, like where your head would be if you were laying down. I hope this is making sense. As this is going on, and he's telling me, like, this is what I need to be doing, and I'm listening to him, but, like, I'm still contracting, and these contractions seem to hurt more when I'm laying like this. Not to mention, while I'm laying like this, I'm tripping, and I'm thinking I'm speaking to them being, my mom's now in the room, my sister's now in the room, who my mom asked, she was like, can your sister come in the room? And I was like, yeah, sure. But I didn't remember her being in the room. Leaning over this bed, thinking I'm talking to my family, and I'm not at all, not speaking at all. But in my head, I, like, see them, and I'm talking to them. It was crazy. And then I would zone back in, and I would be like, oh, I did not just say that out loud. That's weird. So that's happening all while I'm in pain. And so I'm looking to the father, and I'm like, I can't sit like this. This hurts. Like, I want to, like, be held. Like, I want you to hold me again. Like, I don't want to sit like this. And he was like, okay, fine. Like, you can get up. And he was, but, like, the whole point of me being in that position was in hopes that I could get the baby to turn around so I didn't have to go in for an emergency C-section, which obviously that was not clicking at the time that this is all happening, but that was the whole reason. And so I had heard them say something. They were like, C-section, like, we got to get this, like, you know, like they're trying to get the ball rolling, because they don't want to have to make me go in for an emergency C-section, which I'll be completely honest, I would not have been prepared for at all. Luckily, it didn't matter because all within basically an hour, so all this is happening. I'm having a contraction. I'm sitting with the dad, standing with the dad, having a contraction, and I look at him and I go, something's wrong. And what I mean by this is I just felt the baby and it's coming. That's what I meant by something's wrong. I did not mean, I said it really, I shouldn't have said that probably. Like, I shouldn't have been like, something's wrong. But that's what I meant by it. And so my mom, who's standing behind him, kind of in a distance, but she hears me say that. So she goes to the nurse, like loudly, she goes, she just said something's wrong. And at this point, I go, where's my epidural? I want my epidural. And they go, honey, you're not having an epidural. You need to lay down. You're about to give birth. And I, you know, so mind you, about a half an hour ago, I was dilated 3. Kind of hadn't made progress. I'm like, holy crap. Where's my epidural? Because in my mind, I was like, I could rip. I don't want to feel this. What's going to happen? Like, no, I want my epidural. But I also know that an epidural takes time to kick in. It also takes a hot second for the epidural team, the anesthesiologist, to come down, come in, give the epidural, and whatnot. So in my head, I know, like, I'm understanding that I'm not getting the epidural. But I want it. So I like keep asking. I'm like, so no epidural? And they're like, no epidural. You need to sit down. I pushed for, I'd say, probably less than 10 minutes. And my baby was here. I'm like tearing up. At 7 pounds, 3.7 ounces, 19 inches long, so about average weight and pretty tall. She's got really long legs and she's so cute and I'm absolutely in love with her. So real moment, and just the most amazing thing ever. And like, again, at this point, like, everything's kind of zoned out. It's just me, him, the baby at this point. Like, that's all I'm seeing at this point. Like, I'm just like, holy crap, like, this is what I had been waiting for. Like, here she is. Like, how freaking crazy is this? Not to mention, I just went into labor in the most crazy way I thought I could have. So, yeah. So, yeah, that's kind of I think that's, like, basically the end of it. They stitched me up. I did rip. I ripped 1, so like 1st degree. She stitched me right up, and then they like let us be. I got to lay with my daughter. My midwives like find it very crucial for the first hour, skin to skin contact with me, for the first hour. So yeah, so I got her for the first hour, and then I got to let him hold her, and it was amazing, you know. So that's my birth story. If you do want to hear any postpartum, like I said, let me know. I can give you some kind of updates. I can kind of talk about it, what postpartum is, what postpartum has been for me, because every situation's a little different, just like somebody's birth is different from mine. So yeah, I'm gonna go see if she's up. Okay, so I have her right here with me. She woke up and she's kind of falling back to sleep right now. This is my baby girl. Her name is Graylin Rain. She's the cutest little thing ever. I love her so much. My little princess. 2 weeks and 3 days. 2 days. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up. If you want to see more of us, make sure to subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time.